Hey everyone, Jason here, digital marketing consultant, and in this YouTube ads guide, you're going to learn 5 actionable tips and best practices to make sure your campaigns run smoothly, and most importantly, you don't waste your hard-earned money on a bad campaign. Timestamp table of contents in the description, along with a full in-depth tutorial, click by click, exactly how to build your campaigns from scratch. So let's go ahead, dive right in. Tip number 1 I have for you deals with your bids. So if you're just getting started or you're already pulling your hair out because you're experiencing this, when it comes to your bids, you want to start anywhere from 5 to 10 cents, and you're always going to have a campaign that gets 0 impressions. So as you can see in this example here, I'm looking through the campaigns we have a couple campaigns that have no impressions, and then we have some campaigns that have very few impressions. Now, the problem with this, of course, is when you don't get impressions, you don't get views, you don't get clicks, which means you don't get any data, which means you can't improve your advertising or your channel content or sales funnel. So the big thing that you want to do here is simply increase your bid. So when you're seeing you have a very low impression count or a 0 impression count, 8 out of 10 times, it's not foolproof, but 8 out of 10 times, it's going to be you're just bidding too low. So if you've started at 5 cents, take it up to 10 or 15. And if you're already at 10 cents, then take it up to 30 or 40. Because as we move into 2020, we're gradually starting to see the YouTube ads costs come back up. The YouTube ads apocalypse is slowly ending. Ad costs are creeping back up, and so the days of the 1 and 2 cent views are probably limited at this point, but you definitely want to capitalize on YouTube ads while they're still incredibly inexpensive. And the reason that you want to start at 5 cents is because you don't want to bid too low, because you're going to get 0 impressions, even though 1 and 2 cent bids are still, or cost per views are still possible, but you need to start at that 5 to 10 cent mark. And that will just make sure that your bid's high enough so you can find those opportunities, and then it's not so high that you're paying excessively for ad placements that aren't actually optimized. So that 5 to 10 cent range to start, and then if you're having experiences like this where you just don't have any impressions or very low impressions, then start increasing your bid. That should be the very first thing you try before you start just saying, oh, this YouTube ads thing doesn't work, and all those tutorials are bunk and I should just try something else. So number 2 on the list is going to be your targeting. And this is specifically how you structure your campaigns. Now, if you've watched any of my tutorials, this is going to be a bit repetitive, but it's so important, I'm gonna repeat it anyway. You need one targeting option per ad group. And this is why it's so important. So go ahead and take a look at this campaign. Inside of our campaign, looking at the ad group level, we can see impressions and view rates, number of views, all that fun stuff, the percentage watched, but we can also see competitive metrics like impression share lost, budget lost, and most importantly, if you're growing a YouTube channel, the number of earned views and earned subscribers. The ad group level is the lowest you can see this information. Now, why does that matter? Why is that so important? Well, let's say, for example, you went ahead and took 3 different types of audiences and put them into one ad group. Well, when you're looking at your earned subscribers, your earned views, and your competitive metrics of display lost and budget lost, well, it's gonna lump all 3 of these together. But if we made ad group 1, 2, and 3, one for each one, all of a sudden we're gonna be able to see those metrics for each one of those audiences. Now, another big advantage here is when it comes to placements. If you're going to start running a lot of traffic, placements are always lumped together in ad groups. So the real importance here is just making sure that you have one audience for one ad group, because things are going to get aggregated together inside your ad group metrics. And unless you only have one targeting option in there, you won't know which targeting option is the one that got you the subscribers or the display rank or the number of views that you were actually looking for. Even the view data is a little jumbled, so you definitely want to make sure that you're segmenting everything. If that was confusing or that still doesn't make a whole lot of sense, I'll link up in the description to the full-blown tutorial that walks you click by click exactly how to set up these campaigns. Now, the third tip I have for your best practice is going to come to your budget. And this is where Google loves to spend your money. They will spend your money until the end of time. And so, especially if you're new to advertising, there's one thing you need to do with your budget, and that is set an end date. please, please, please set an end date, because there's nothing worse than opening up your ad account and realizing that there was a campaign you forgot about and it just kept running. So every once in a while I see this in the comments and it's just really disheartening, because you're not going to get your money back from Google. And if you try those chargebacks things, then Google's just going to ban your account altogether. So what you really want to do, please do this, is just add an end date. All you have to do is click on your campaign, go into settings, and then set an end date for 2 to 3 weeks out. You can do a month or two if you have a larger budget. And of course you can approximate based upon what your daily ad spend is and how many days you're letting the campaign run to see what your approximate total cost will be. But this will just ensure that, number one, Google's not going to run away with your money, because they will and you won't get it back. And number two, it will actually force you to go back into your account and analyze what's working. So if you have a 2 to 3 week cycle on your budget, you're looking at least every 2 to 3 weeks at your campaigns, and you're making sure that you're continuing to spend money on the ones that are working, as opposed to just doing a set it and forget it. That's definitely not the way to approach YouTube ads at all. Now, tip number 4 deals with watch time. And this is probably where I get the second most number of questions behind why are my campaigns getting absolutely no impressions. And that is, your ads are going to get terrible watch time. It just seems to be a rule of YouTube advertising. If you compare the watch time you get on YouTube ads versus the watch time you get on normal search, suggested, or the home feed, whatever the YouTube algorithm's doing, the YouTube algorithm is always going to get you better watch time than what's on your ads. So what does this mean for you as a new advertiser? Well, number one, it means that if you have a content video that's doing really well organically, don't run YouTube ads to it. It will hurt your watch time, and then all of a sudden, your video that was doing great starts slipping. So that's number one. Number two, what you want to do is actually make sure that with the videos you are running traffic with, that it's within 5 to 7% or a couple, at least a minute or two of the watch time. So let's go through an actual example. So here's a video. I'm gonna go into Creator Studio here. Here's a video that I've been running YouTube ads on for a couple of months. So you're going to want to go into your analytics. You're going to click on View More so you can get some greater details here. And then we're going to click on Traffic Source. And then we're going to segment our traffic by view duration. I'm going to go ahead and change this chart to a bar chart. I'm going to make sure that I'm looking at all of the previous year, 2019. So I get a nice huge chunk of data, and then I'm going to go ahead and sort by number of views, because I need the traffic sources we're looking at to be statistically significant. And now, as you can see here, you can clearly see what your average view duration is for your search and your suggested and what's normally going on versus your YouTube ads. Now, this is actually a really good example, because we got our watch time on YouTube ads to be very, very close to what it was organically. And this should be your goal when you're promoting organic content to try and grow your channel. You really want to keep an eye on this. You don't want to be using that 25, 50, and 75% or 100% viewed inside of Google ads. That's not really great, because you need to see your average view duration for YouTube ads in the context of what it looks like against your organic. So in this particular instance, if we were getting a 2-minute average watch time on our ads, that would tell us that we did a terrible job with our advertising and we need to go back to the drawing board. But here we're within 5 to 7% of what we would see organically. So we're going to keep running these ads, and we're going to keep testing to try and continue to expand our reach, and of course make sure that the watch time doesn't drop too dramatically. So this is a great tool that YouTube Creator Studio has actually added. This wasn't possible in the past, so it's really good to keep an eye on your watch time. Now finally, number 5 comes to some settings, and these are settings that I every once in a while find some controversy with, but I think that when it comes to running your YouTube ads, your number one priority is figuring out where your audience is and then giving them what they want. So we'll jump back into our ads account here, and we're going to click on a campaign that we'd like to scale and lower our cost per view, and then we'll immediately go over to settings. Instead of looking at start and end dates this time though, we'll go ahead and click on the network. And here we want to uncheck display partners, because this is essentially you giving Google and YouTube the ability to have your videos across the web on sites other than YouTube. We really don't want that. We want all of our ads to show up on YouTube itself. And once you've unchecked display partners, you can optionally check on search if it's not already showing up. That will just give you more opportunities to show up on YouTube. And then you'll also want to go down to inventory types. Now, this is where the YouTube adpocalypse actually started, because large corporations who were very concerned about their branding saw that their video ads were running on videos that were not in line with their values, their brand, or the type of content they wanted to be associated with. So this was Google's solution, is to create different brackets, essentially showing big advertisers, hey, if you're really uncomfortable with certain types of content, you can pay more to show up on what we consider clean content. Now, the actual guidelines for what's clean and limited versus expanded is really, really nebulous. But as a small advertiser, just go ahead and click on expanded, because essentially what you're doing is you're saying, of all the opportunities I could show up, I'm gonna click on expanded, while all the big advertisers are clicking on limited, which means you're going to be able to have your ads play on videos that the big budget advertisers aren't interested in, which means your costs are going to be a lot lower. And with that, those are the 5 tips and best practices for improving and optimizing your ads account, and of course, making sure that Google doesn't run away with your hard-earned cash. So go ahead and comment below if you have any questions about running YouTube ads. Check out that link to the full-blown tutorial to actually set up your campaign from scratch, whether you're looking to grow your channel or you're looking to drive traffic and leads and buyers off of YouTube. That tutorial has 2 different campaign types that covers both of those objectives. Hit that like button, subscribe for more marketing tutorials and guides just like this one. And until the next, keep building the business you love.